And we're good to go. So, yeah, Jose?
So, hello, good morning, everyone. And today we have a guest who is going to talk about how we are synchronizing assets in OpenQA. So, as you know, we have when there's new build in OBS or IBS, there is some automatic mechanism which is triggering the test in OpenQA, firstly synchronizing the assets and so on, right? So this is a tool called OBS, OpenQA OBS Sync, and we have the equivalent to IBS, but that it's actually internal. But yeah, since the tool is actually public, it's in GitHub. I think what Andri is going to do is first explain how this synchronization works and how the scripts are, written so that we can get these assets for every new build. Um, and yeah, and I think Andre, we will see some examples later on. But if there is time, yeah, it would be nice to also take a look at some of the existing examples in GitHub, right? So Andre, stage is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Jose, for introduction. So, a brief few words about me. I'm a part of OBS team, the team that manages OBS, actual OBS, not development. And I was loaned for, I believe, year and a half around that to OpenQA team at the start of my job at SUSE. Yeah, where I did some test automation, and yeah, the main task was to improve old rsync PL script that was doing what the plugin does. Um, so honestly, when I started this my job and this work, I was overwhelmed with complexity and how many details and nuances, and I didn't actually understand what I'm doing. But the challenge, I was trying to just replicate what old script was doing, and with focus on testability, because when I was looking at commits in old script, there's many, like, I see that side effects of one small change can affect other projects, and it is quite tricky to catch all details in advance, yeah, etc. So I'm not, honestly, the topic is very big, and I believe I did such presentation 2 years ago to some audience, and I'm not sure if anyone got anything. So I don't know. I will be happy if some questions pop up, or some feedback. Maybe some parts should be skipped, or some parts should be like more details. Okay, so again, a few words what we are talking about. So OBS, Open Build Service, it delivers some products. We need to uh, move them to OpenQA hosts because this is how OpenQA works. And then we need to trigger test commands specific. Um, in OpenQA, we see the interesting part are usually ISO parameter here on repos parameter, sometimes HDD. Sometimes they're created on OpenQA, but yeah, the plugin covers deliverables that are built in OBS, yeah, and need to be synced. This is typical ISO's post command. Maybe it's a bit outdated. Yeah, it's old client, but the idea is the same. We have parameters. Some of them don't change. Some of them need to be adjusted for every call. The challenge here is that every project on OBS has own nuances. Every architecture has also some specifics, and it is tricky to like standardize it on OBS. And um,
Yeah, the challenge is nicely put because we have different products where product composed, you mentioned here juice, where you have an appliance and you have repositories and they must match each other in the process. You must rename them because maybe in the directory name or in the file names don't have the build number, but we want to make sure that we have a unique, unambiguous naming on OpenQA. So renaming that, and then of course triggering the OpenQA tests accordingly based on what is read out from product, right?
Yes, yes. So it's like several steps, and they also must be consistent because what I saw in old script, and sometimes it happens when I try to adjust changes in this plugin. When like you have one name, so when you rsync, and then the other name when you try to put it to OpenQA,
Right.
and yeah, of course it shouldn't happen. Yeah, so I was thinking the problem with setting up testing environment is that you basically need both OBS and OpenQA to to test things, and it is tricky. And if even if we like emulate OBS file structure, it doesn't help much because it may change at some point, and yeah, then our tests they don't reflect actual structure, and it's a lot of work to do it. So I decided to that it will be easy to test, or if we exclude OBS at least from some parts of actual testing. And I'm not sure. Um, so we need OBS only on first step when we read files from OBS backend. If we look at some actual example, let's see lib. This is the last test that
Could
was
you
triggered.
zoom in a bit on this page, like to 120%, 140 maybe? It's easier readable. Yeah, this is good. Perfect.
This is data from actual syncing. So this is the first step. We read some data from OBS backend, and we put them to these LST files, and they look like they were very simple. So we have on OBS we have net ISO, we have DVD ISO for each architecture, and there's also some list of repositories that were read, and also we can what's the difference here? The first is non-OSS, the second is OSS, and we have script that actually reads. We can look at it, which path it takes, and then once we have this list, we can generate these rsync commands that that actually do syncing, and
Right.
we have also
But
script that
what I really like about that approach is that it's really showing what it's doing, and it's offering an easy way for users, but not all the users, but like, admins to redo those steps for investigation, to tweak out, maybe to come up with a change or.
Yeah, exactly. That was the goal. Thank you for mentioning it. The thing about old RSync it also has like emulate, I don't know, dry run mode,
Yeah.
but it's commands. Sometimes it's like we are extracting ISO file. There was like some line like that, but I have no idea what exactly it does and how can I reproduce the same commands. And yeah, it's not here, but maybe we will have another example when it's clearly seen what exact commands they are using. Also, we have the same commands or similar form. Yeah, they don't look very nice, but yeah, once you spend some time, it's clear what it's doing. There's no magic, no variables, no dependencies. You can copy, like, you can grab particular architecture if you need from this file, or select manually, and yeah, execute them on OpenQA host. Sometimes it's needed.
Yeah.
Just
Felix has a, yeah, Jose, go on.
yeah, just wanted to for everyone who's new with this, and these scripts are auto-generated by the OBS sync script, and um, yeah, once you give some initial configuration about the project structure in OBS, like this one, and then all this magic that you see and all these fancy scripts doing rsync and so on, this is auto-generated by the script. You don't have to generate those manually, just for clarification.
Hmm?
Yeah, correctly. Thank you for mentioning. I believe this is the XML file which defines uh, how, yeah, how to generate those rsync commands.
Okay.
That
Phoenix, you had a hand raised?
Yeah, there were several
oops,
steps that were a bit too fast for me, so perhaps we could go back on them. So
definitely.
from
Thank you.
from the general architecture, what I understood so far is there is a rsync server where we want to fetch the assets from, and the purpose of this tool is to check if there are new assets on this OBS server that are then using rsync synced to OpenQA. Is this correct?
Yes, this is how it works. Um, the actually the plugin, it's combination of scripts on disk. Maybe we will stop on them later, and a plugin in OpenQA that listens for notification from another model that signals that build might be ready, and build for particular project on OBS. And once it's done, the plugin, it looks for these definitions. Let me like show. Uh, so this is the current project that are being listed in OpenQA. And if for this project comes notification, where is this lib 5.15.5, then we find corresponding XML file for it. This is the XML file.
On
And
GitHub,
then,
also zoom in a bit, please.
yep, sorry.
Yep, good.
Yeah, we find corresponding XML file. This project pattern defines that this XML file handles commands or script generation for this project that, yeah, that received notification. And then simply put, yeah, then the scripts are generated. These scripts, let me, these scripts. First script that reads files from OBS backend, where they present actually. And yeah, this is the files that it read. And these scripts, they generate these commands that will actually take the files from OBS backend and put them to OpenQA server. Does it help a bit?
Yes, it helps a little bit. So we have the XML templates, which is the prime resource where the user define the, let's say, the source and the, however, the file names should look like. And the tools generates then a set of scripts based on those XML files. And
Exactly.
the purpose of the scripts is basically to look for the given project pattern on a OBS server that should contain the assets, and it will sync them to openqa. Is that correct?
Exactly. And then it will, after syncing, it will generate these isos post commands to trigger it mentions these folders, repositories that we just synced, and ISO file, one for net, one for DVD for each architecture, and it sends them basically to openqa. And now openqa is ready to start testing because yeah, we just synced assets, we renamed them where is needed, we provided build ID, correct, uh, and what else is needed, flavor and version, and I believe that's it, architecture.
And this is the case for ISOs, but we sometimes have images to be synchronized. So in some cases, like I don't know, microS or JUICE and so on. So we have you have the possibility to specify regex, which matches the name of the HDD you want to synchronize. Because in this case, you don't want to rsync and ISO because there is no ISO. There is only, yeah, here, for example, line 11, so you have this, or line 12, you have this file mask, which is the regex.
Yeah, exactly. The problem for me, so for like our very base project, it's ISO, but for others, it's maybe HDD or, yeah, as you saw, or maybe QCOV. And I didn't find like a name that distinguishes ISO. Actually, I believe, yeah, that distinguishes ISO from HDD files. So I just the step is named rsync ISO, but it actually maybe rsync image is but this one step, rsync ISO and rsync repo. It should be named like rsync image because it covers, for some projects it covers yeah, HDD and other files. But the thing is that repos, they usually handle it differently than images, and yeah, it's tricky sometimes to generate them. Okay, so yeah, please ask questions like this. It was very good question, and I hope it clarified. But we back to our 3 steps approach. So we, yeah, prepare. It's generated commands that read file names from OBS. Then we actually sync, and then we invoke isos post command. Oh, why it says. Um, yeah, here we mentioned again. So from open build service, we generate lstf files. Step 2, sometimes it's rsync, sometimes it's a bit more complicated actions, and then isos post is generated. And yeah, so think we generate just bash commands, and when we do it in test, we can preview what changed, or we just review. And then there is another module that just executes these bash commands that we previewed and does actual work. Okay, so this is another example project. What is from XML structure, it's maybe not like very taught, but the key part that it has, sometimes it has few flavors, and for
So,
each
sorry,
flavor
Andrei, are
we,
you showing the XML? Because we still see the slides, at least me.
but on the slide is XML, but we can can you see XML on sliders to?
It actually looks like the refreshing stopped because it's still showing the pop-up from slides.com full screen.
Okay.
Works
Weird.
fine. Okay, so
Yes.
So now you see or not?
Yes.
yeah, fine. That data slide.
Okay, not sure what happened. Yeah, so the XML, it has few flavors, and for each flavor, for each architecture, will be isource post command. It's kind of obvious when you spend some time from it, but I'm not sure if you need to stop on this. Okay, this is how it looks on disk on openqa machine. So we have a bunch of folders, and each folder, it has, they are shown above. They're a bit outdated, but the idea is the same. And each folder, it has these files that we just seen in user in web UI.
Yeah,
Like
it's still showing this Lightscom full screen.
I don't know, sure. Maybe when I go full, let me try to reconnect. Maybe it will fix.
No, I think it's okay. You better just keep it without the. I think it's fine if you don't go to full screen. Just keep.
Okay, I'm just not sure if because it may be too small. But anyway, yeah, it's a lot of details. Maybe we should not stop on them. What I wanted to show is just general idea that we have two steps that don't rely on OBS, and we can just once we generated LST files, we can preview bash commands that will be executed, and we can diff to previous version what has changed. And yeah, we can do refactoring and guarantee that at least in step 2 and step 3, all the changes that happen, we will see them. Again, this is the dashboard that I saw. It was very quickly implemented, this dashboard, with all the projects that's currently, some of them definitely outdated, may be removed probably, but what we need is here as well. And each has these generated scripts, generated LST files that will be synced, and also each has history. When we see runs like version 24.2 was synced on what's this? Yeah, 20. Or is it old? Probably it's old. Yeah, probably the year is incorrect. And we can review logs for each sync, what exactly it did, like the command it generated, and the any eventual errors or output from openqa when this command was executed, the generated command. The slides mentioned the same. I hope everyone has link to slides, or
I provided the link.
Yeah,
and
it was
I provided the link in the chat, so if people want to follow, then
and also it's in the ticket. Okay, then a few words about how sync can be started. Again, as I mentioned, there are special modules in openqa plugin that listens for specific notifications from our bot master. It's another beast, but I think it works reliable for now. Sometimes we may want to trigger them automatically. For example, if RabbitMQ is down, we can do it, go into specific project, and there is like synchronize now. And the thing is, if we have like this link run last, which has LST files, and if LST files didn't change, if content of LST files didn't change, then sync will not start because yeah, we already triggered this sync. We don't need it. And if we still want to resync everything, we need to do specific action. Yeah, forget last version.
Yeah, I think if you want really to force to trigger even the previous or the last run has the same build as the current one, so you can forget it, right? So
Yeah,
this is
this
running the
is
last run, right?
um, this is column that last sync, and it shows when the sync happened for this project. Oh, okay, 23. Yeah, so which is interesting. Alp, we have something in start of. Okay, let's. Factory arm was 13 of April at 6:50, and this is the snapshot number, I believe. And if nothing changed in the OBS backend, then it will not do anything because yeah, we already started this test, and sometimes it's bad when we rerun them. And if we really want to force them, we must press this button forget. What it will do, it will just um, delete this uh, symlink run last, and we will not have information about last run, and it will trigger like new sync and new openqa commands. And then yeah, we also can do without UI, just go to folder where this everything located and trigger sync from there. And
Yep. Just a second, Arita, you have your hand raised.
thank you, Oliver, for helping me because yeah, I don't see.
Arita can't hear. Okay, Andre, but let's just go on. If anybody of you have a question, feel free to shout it out. If we can hear you, then.
Yeah, these slides, they just mention a few more details about this automatic sync and yeah, how to do manual sync and how to do command line sync. Yeah, basically this is that's it for overview. We can go for some few interesting projects that we have in GitHub, or maybe somebody has questions. I will be glad as well.
469, please.
Yeah. So, Andre, do you think that this same project could be used to monitor new builds of container workloads? I'm thinking about Alp and the fact that there will be containers that are, or whatever in the workloads area, being built or updated that are not necessarily linked to a new Alp build.
I can answer that because we are doing that already.
Okay, good.
So for new, well, Andre, go ahead. I can maybe explain the experience with yeah, base container in SLS.
No, I will be glad that you finish because I'm not sure what exactly you mean.
Yeah, so we have for in this case 15SP5, we have actually an XML script or XML configuration, which also listens to the container project in OBS, and this will trigger also the container test for, the base image. So the same way we're doing, milestone reviews or milestone validations, we get these new builds in OpenQA. We are also testing the new builds for the container images. So that's definitely possible. It's not, you know, obvious how this works in the XML because you are not synchronizing an ISO, you're not synchronizing a QCOW or anything, but there's some kind of tweak that you can do to listen to this project for new builds, and you can synchronize an asset. And this asset could be anything, could be a TXT, could be a, whatever file format that you want. And then you can synchronize this asset, and this will mean that you have a new build. I mean, for WSL, we are also synchronizing assets. We are not like different file extensions than QCOW or
Okay.
ISO. So it's not so obvious how to do it, but there are some examples how this works.
Okay. I will then maybe talk to you later
Sure.
because I'm thinking specifically in the context of ALP. And then maybe if you have already an idea of how to tackle it,
Mm.
and we can
But
reuse this.
one
Yeah.
one thing which is important is that if these containers are kind of in an isolated world outside of the Alp builds, then we should probably talk about this, because normally when we are testing new images, that needs to be validated through a milestone. Yeah, so they should come together with the same build after
Yeah.
ISO and so on. But
Yeah.
if these containers come together with the same alt builds, so they should be validated together, then it makes sense to do it here.
Yeah, that's the actual problem that I'm trying to tackle, because the containers are not necessarily linked to an alt build.
Yeah.
But I think that's out of scope for now, and then we can discuss later, and then go ahead. But yeah.
Yeah. So one thing that I would like to add here as a generalization, that's the important question, is always what are the actual assets that you consider to be tested, and what is the trigger point? At which point in time or under what conditions would you like to trigger test? And based on that, openqa-trigger-from-obs might be the right solution, and it offers more, of course, more features than that. But sometimes there is a different, better solution to the problem to make all our lives easy.
Yeah, that's the conclusion that I'm getting to, basically, because this is not necessarily linked to Alp builds again.
Right.
So they are basically, and this is a container that is going to be pulled from the registry.
Yeah.
So this is something completely out of
independent.
Yeah, it's completely independent, and I think that then the other plan that I had was to use on one end, ask the OBS team to support webhooks, but also I can get started by taking a look at the RabbitMQ thing, and then build everything from there.
Wait, because we already have some kind of mechanisms to test and release containers.
Okay.
So this is what we are doing for BCI, and it's decoupled from this script or from this OBS thing. It's a different way to handle. It's a bot which is listening on OpenQA. Well, not listening. It's running
monitoring.
a CI exactly. It's monitoring the projects, and if there's some changes, it will trigger the test. But probably not for this call.
Yeah.
It's just good to mention that there are multiple other solutions depending. Yeah. So I would like to bring up the question from Marita from chat. So it's a question to Andre mostly. Every half a year we have some hiccups with build syncing, and we need someone to look into the syncing. Who can help with looking into the scripts and fix the error besides you, or is it only you?
I have backup in my team, but I'm not sure how quick he will be. The thing is that So as long as I believe some persons do understand these steps and the logs that they have, and once we identify the problem, then it's probably the easy to fix. Sometimes it's hard to identify the problem. Yes, maybe if we like analyze specific cases, what I remember was, yeah, there was once a bug in openqa that with some deadlocks that ISO's post command failed, and then we just needed to redo it. But at
Right.
that time, assets have gone, and yeah, it happens. I don't know,
Yeah.
but there's were some other cases as well, like network failure. Yeah, we need to then look at rsum command at the logs and maybe redo it manually, or just remove previous build with forget and redo
I
full
think we
sum.
have other examples where multiple other people could take a look and fix something. Jose, maybe want to share your experience on that?
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, well, I've been together with other colleagues. I mean, I've been taking care of synchron or adding the configuration scripts for some products like
Yes.
let's say Micro or Alp even. And yeah, Martin Loviska is quite experienced as well with this, and we've been working together to have the enablement also for Leap Micro in O3, not only in OSD, right? And yeah, I mean, the idea is that everyone gets knowledge so that everyone can do it. And because in the end, we can be a bottleneck, or Andri can be a bottleneck. And of course, when I run into troubles, I always ask Andri about the some technical details of the script. But the idea is that at least everyone can create a configuration file, or if there is some problems that they fix it, analyze the error, and try to provide some patch or something to fix it, or just push the button, update or forget and synchronize again. I mean, everyone should be able to do it in the end. So that's the idea for this
Yep.
training as
Okay.
well.
I have a specific question here. Andre, you're showing this admin UI overview. And I could imagine that many people see the buttons, maybe they identify the correct row in the table to say like, okay, was what I want to handle is a problem with, let's say, 15.5. But I would imagine that most people say like, well, there are buttons. I don't know what the buttons do. In the end, press all of them or any of them. And so maybe you could share, is that bad? Or what would be the consequences of that? And then explain again, once more, try to explain what are they for and when to press which button under which circumstance.
Um, yeah, so yeah, my idea that this project is huge, and proper UI, it needs like really good dedication, and so I made this mostly for me, so it's useful for me. And yeah, I understand that somebody who is not as deep in this area may be really confused. And the thing that you need to scroll all the way up to see the um, how it's called, column names is,
Yeah,
yeah, also frustrating.
right.
So I will just mention here. So this data is taken from the history, from the logs, and it shows which builds were synced last. And this button nearby, it also runs the same scripts kind of safely, and it checks which builds are available now on OBS backend. And sometimes it's useful to check when we are not sure whether synchronization is not working, or is new version available but sync is not starting for some reasons. If numbers are the same, then probably we should not expect synchronization to start.
Right. So you're saying this is basically a cheap operation. You click on the update button and it will just cross-check the data. Won't be a harmful action, right?
Yes, the only kind of
Yeah.
thing that does, maybe this should be, forget should be yellow, and the rest maybe green.
Okay, so
Because
tell us again, what happens if we click the forget button?
the forget, it will delete this symlink in logs. We have the logs. This run last symlinks. This symlink, it is used to check whether anything changed on OBS backends, because currently this run last, it points to actually the last build, and we see if we still have snapshot for 20th of April, then we don't do anything because we kind of already triggered tests. And if we press this forget button, it will remove this run last symlink, and the script, it will see, okay, we don't have snapshot from 20th of April, and we will start the sync. So it's not dangerous, but I believe people may be upset if it did happen when all the tests started again and all dashboards are like were almost ready, but yeah, currently they need to wait for results again. So this is the only button that does some job. This just checks what's on OBS backend, and this case is interesting because it shows that probably some files are from 20th of April and some from 12th of April. Yeah, so the sync should not be ready to start because the version is inconsistent.
Yeah, it's not a complete consistent snapshot that was found, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay,
And,
so a question to that from chat from Joaquin. Once you forget it, once you click the forget button, does it automatically start the process, or do we need to click another button after that?
Yeah, it just deletes. This is, yeah, you need to like start manually. So normally when you want to start manually, you press this. Okay, I need to talk about batches probably because we didn't mention them. Let's try some simple project. Yeah, this is sync now, but it will do no action if no changes are detected. Once we press forget, it will start doing the actions because it will not have previous version.
Yeah, that would effectively force the complete process.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Maybe it needs more clear UI, but again, yeah, we have.
But then again, you need to forget plus update. Forget deletes all the old files, and then you still need to hit update.
Yeah, so the question whether it should be one button. I did it for myself, and I prefer two buttons. But I agree that for somebody it may be one button is better.
But
okay,
you don't need to press an update if you do forget and then synchronize, update. I mean, it's just reading it. So
no, update is just information because it's kind of expensive to do this information for every project because it creates a GRU job and it waits it to finish this minion backend because we cannot do so. There's some magic behind scenes, but it's not harmful. Sometimes if backend is busy, maybe you will not see any result.
Yeah, and it involves file system operations, so it's
in network operations. Yeah,
it shouldn't be harmful, but it's just not. It's also not for free to do the walk over files and so. There was a question on chat from Marius about the second update, so the one on the right.
Yeah, so the column that is empty now, it's sync status. What's job created? When actually this job queue. Okay, we have something running for arm to test, and it started in the morning. Interesting.
Yeah, I had actually a question about this. Maybe we can
Yeah.
show up this screen again. So the question was about how or where is the place where this monitoring from RabbitMQ messages is happening? Where is that plugin running? And when we see this queue, also this project log, and sometimes we see a dirty status. So could you explain all this monitoring and checking for that one?
Uh,
Okay.
so you know this view or not? This is
I've seen it, but probably I'm not familiar with it for sure.
so these are okay. There's some another job. This is like background jobs of OpenQA, like some heavy operations that we cannot do in front end, because front end it's busy handling and it should be very quick, and every like heavy task, it will create this minion dashboard. Yeah, you just minion, I don't know, Perl minion, and it's good information. It's very useful tool, and I like this design. So you see the task that and yeah, that do some jobs, and our particular task that is interesting for the plugin is uh, this OBS asynchron, and it actually does call those scripts, those generated scripts that we were talking before.
Okay.
And for each task, yeah, you see the project which it uh, handles, when it started, and what else, probably nothing interesting else. But yeah, this view from that we talk here, it basically reads data from minion from table, I believe, and shows if there is any task. The question is why it's not shown here, because it should. Yeah, probably something broke. Yeah, yeah, it's here. Or it's not. Some different. Yeah, this one that is running, and I believe this one it's already inactive. Yeah, maybe it's just inactive. Let me try to find it again. No, it's not. Probably it just deleted, but it's still shown there. Interesting. Yeah.
So there is like a minion which is running and listening for these RabbitMQ messages.
It reads them from no. The RabbitMQ messages is another tool. It's not part of OpenQA. It just sends. Let me.
Yeah, that's what
go.
I wanted to know. What is this tool, or how is it integrated in OpenQA?
This is bot mastered. Have you heard about it?
Yes, yes. Uh-huh.
So there's some model that it was already listening to messages from um,
OBS.
yeah, from RabbitMQ, and doing some stuff I don't even know about. And Kula, yeah, we talked with Kula about what to do, and we decided that we just move all logic there, and it just sends these put commands to this specific path,
Uh-huh.
and
Okay.
OpenK plugin, it just listens to these notifications, and then it starts minion uh,
Okay, so this is what I was the
minion job.
connection I was missing, the bot master putting this request to open to the OBS script library. Oh, okay,
Exactly.
perfect.
Thank you
Thank you. Thank
for
you.
the question. Yeah, and we still on this. So these are about current job that are running. We can look at them also in this view at the bottom. I'm just not sure why it doesn't shows one job here and two jobs there, but I believe it will catch up at some point. And now this is yeah, this is another magic that happens. what it does call to this. Probably it's too small. I will paste in Slack the API link that it checks for specific projects. In the, I don't know.
In the Jitsi
No,
chat, you could.
Yes, correct. Oh, sorry, there's a lot
Yep.
of things going
It's
on.
fine. We are covering the questions from there. There was one question from Yanis, why there are 2 or more builds for some products. We had this one example for OpenSUSE Factory ARM to test. Maybe you can try to explain again. What does it mean that it says builds and then with a comma?
Okay, so probably we should stop on this project later because
Yep.
Let's try this. Yeah, you see, I still need to mention batches because
KDE Medias is, I think, a good example because it's really simple.
Let's go then again to openqa, to XML file for it. And what I didn't mention, I did mention flavor, but I didn't mention batch. I'm not sure if we need batch here. Because yeah, this XML was created without me, but the batch actually is something that groups commands that are not related to each other, if I can say it this way. Let me try to find a good example. No, these are just flavors. Okay, I'm just looking to Tumbleweed and we. Okay, so Tumbleweed has one batch is basically what classical Tumbleweed do. We do sync ISO files and we do sync some assets and we do sync repos for them.
And batch, repositories need to match the ISO file, right? That way it's bundled?
Yes, there is also one place that checks this. This play. If you are interested where it happens, it is in this. So we have script rsync-sh, which calls all these scripts that we were talking about. It calls read files. It calls print rsync repo, print rsync ISO, those files that we were, and yeah, generates command and then executes them. Where it executes them. Yeah, and there's a place where it checks for consistency in version, but it must do only in some particular projects. So yeah, if we have project that is called to-test, then we detect builds and then we check if those builds have more than one, yeah, basically if they are inconsistent. But some projects don't need this check. Then this is why it's so messy. And yeah, let's try see in KDE Medias. So we have this Argon build 222.4 and in Krypton, what do we have? Yeah, 6.32.6. So basically, I don't know how to show it yet. Here we see that synced builds there more nicely because it has 2 batches. And here we look at them this way. One good batch is when we need to start migration tests for for SLE, I believe, in internal instance because they have own flavor. They have like some details are different from like classical tests, and so I was thinking how we can frame it, and yeah, their concept of batches came in. But again, I'm not sure if we should stop on them right now because I don't know, it's complicated and I don't remember all the
Yeah.
reasoning.
That's okay. So let's end here with the last question from Yannis to keep it short. Any improvements to anticipate on openqa-trigger from OBS?
There are some, I believe, some. What first improvement that definitely is needed is we don't have clear message if this command, if this script fails. If this script fails, the job just fails, but we don't have a good error message. So this is more like bug that needs to be like carefully think, and we will not have like this new folder created for this case, because for all other cases, once we were able to read list of files, then there will be new folder and it will contain all the logs what happened in this particular run. Regarding improvements, let's look at again at GitHub. So Python code here, please never look at it, because it's just ugly, and I didn't try to like keep it in my hands. It was just becoming worse and worse. But what's important here is that first XML, and then in tests we have for each project we have expected output of like ISOS command. They're like given this particular LST file. So when we have like this input, then we will have this output, and it for each project it gives very good overview of what would happen. And once we change, like do some refactoring, it will also show all affected projects, and it saved me several times for sure during refactoring. So what I would like glad if would happen if this Python code is somehow thrown away, and something good comes in that generates the same output for input as specified in tests.
Yeah, so I think there's a stable base for that development with a test base, so we can know exactly what comes out as it. I hope you don't mind if I stop you there, to prevent that we're running out of time. Thanks very much. This has covered all the questions that were mentioned in chat.
Super.
Yeah, thank you, Andre. Really nice introduction. Thanks to Jose and others that helped to contribute and bring this topic forward. Next week we plan to continue with a backend code walkthrough where we're looking at individual backends. So next week we will talk about the IPMI backend. Any one of you, when you feel proficient, come forward to me, and then you can walk over the IPMI backend. If you don't come forward, then I will do that, and I will probably do a very crappy job at that, but might still be fun for you. So thank you all, and hope to see you again next week. Bye.
Thank you, Andre. Thank you.